Hey, how's it hanging, guys? Welcome to the new format that I'm giving a try. I'm calling it WBNN, White Boy News Network. No animations or anything, no editing, nothing like that. It's just going to be a long, extended cut of me just talking. I've tried this a couple times before, a couple takes before this. They weren't exactly the best. I kind of tend to ramble, so I'm going to try and not ramble. We'll see how that goes. Um, so I want to talk today about what's been going on with Candace Owens getting removed from the Daily Wire. Jeremy Boring, the CEO of the Daily Wire, tweeted this morning that Candace and the Daily Wire would be parting ways, presumably after Candace's very methodical takedown of a lot of different individuals who happen to be Jewish and big supporters of Israel. So this is a big deal, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through the background, how we got here, and then I'm going to kind of talk about the broader implications for conservatism, quote unquote, at large, the American right. But anyway, so this all kind of started back in November, December. Candace Owens kind of started talking more about the Israel-Gaza war and kind of was taking a critical stance of Israel. She was kind of saying that they're getting to the point where this is a genocide on Palestinians. They don't seem to be pursuing any kind of military objective other than kind of an ethnic cleansing of the Gaza Strip. Stuff like that, slightly controversial takes on what's going on over there. And obviously I don't know if he's technically her boss, but huge figurehead of the Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, who is Jewish and is a big supporter of Israel, he did not take kindly to those remarks. He was recorded in a private setting saying that Candace was absolutely disgraceful for those comments and that she's a faux sophisticate, this, that, and the other thing. So Ben and Candace kind of got into a feud that way. Ben said, Candace, if you think it's bad to take money from the Daily Wire, you can quit. So there's been a little bit of tension ever since November, but then it kind of went on sabbatical because Candace Owens went on maternity leave. She was gone from her show for a little bit. And recently, a couple weeks ago, she returned. And she really returned with force, going in even harder on this Jewish-Israel topic. Specifically going after this guy, this weird guy, man. Rabbi Shmuli is his name. I don't know if you guys know anything about him. I only found out about him in relation to what's been going on with Candace, but Rabbi Shmuli is this supposed I guess he's a rabbi. He's called Rabbi Shmuli. I have no idea if he actually plays any kind of clerical role in Judaism in the way like a pastor or a priest does in a Christian church, say. But either way, this guy is a rabbi who makes his money from owning a sex shop with his daughter. Very strange stuff. They make all kinds of weird butt plugs and dildos together. Honestly, freaks. I'm not in any way supportive of them, and I completely agree with everything Candace has said about them. And, they apparently, Rabbi Shmuli had been sending pot shots at Candace for years, and Candace finally responds. And what's the first thing everyone starts saying? They start saying Candace is anti-Semitic for going after this rabbi. And one of the biggest proponents of this Candace is anti-Semitic rhetoric was this other rabbi, funnily enough, Rabbi Barclay. And, so Candace invites Rabbi Barclay onto her show to kind of discuss why he's calling her an anti-Semite. And, Rabbi Barclay comes on, and you can tell by the way the interview goes, he's really hoping, and this happens all the time when you broach this kind of subject. If you know anything about how the Israel lobby and the JQ works, this is kind of step one after you've made your first infraction, is they give you the chance to recant your statements. Rabbi Barclay comes on and he's hitting you with the preschool teacher vibe. He's saying, I'm very disappointed in you, and I really hope that you can see how you've hurt Jewish people. And he starts bringing up, a lot of strange reasonings. He says that Candace is anti-Semitic for calling Rabbi Shmuli's daughter a hag. He says apparently that's some kind of blood libel, some kind of Jewish trope about witches. He says she should have never called this rabbi unholy. I don't know how you cannot be unholy if you're selling sex toys with your daughter, but I digress. And he starts doing other very strange, strange to anyone who understands actual rhetorical strategy, but not strange if you're dealing in this sort of Israeli influence racket. He starts talking about how the definition of anti-Semitism is really very fluid and it can change, and Candace really was not having any of that talk about definitions changing, which was really upsetting to Rabbi Barclay. She wouldn't admit that the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel was any kind of unique evil. She condemned it as evil, but she refused to say that just because it happened to Jewish people, that it was any more unique than any other tragedy, which also really ruffled Rabbi Barclay's feathers. And, so this interview happens, and it sends shockwaves throughout what many call Con Inc., the more mainstream conservative outlets. So think people like the Daily Wire, obviously, the Blaze, Tim Pool, these types of groups and companies that are kind of baseline conservatism. They're not super edgy. She got, I don't know if she was fully disavowed by Dave Rubin, but Dave Rubin was on, I think, the PBD podcast and said that he no longer considers himself friends with Candace Owens over the Rabbi Barclay interview. Which we'll get into this in a little bit, but that really kind of shows this very, very firm line a lot of quote-unquote conservatives have and where free speech for them ends. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But this then led to her this morning, her being fired. I don't know if fired is the right word, but she was removed from the Daily Wire one way or another. Interesting to note, I think, Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh have nothing to say so far on the matter at the time of recording. I haven't seen any kind of statement from them, which in my mind, is very disappointing. She's been going at this Israel-Jewish question from a very Christian angle, and as two devout Catholics, Knowles and Walsh, you'd think that Candace could get a little bit of grace and defense from them, but I guess not. They're really not coming to the defense of their girl here. And they're leaving it to base white boy and WBBN to really take this on. So it's unfortunate to see that from them, see that lack of standing behind Candace. But so I want to now talk about why this is such a big deal for Con Inc. and kind of the right-wing American conservative movement in general. I think it's very interesting that it shows an interesting quote-unquote point of no return. For whatever reason, talking about Israel and Jewish power and influence in America is absolutely a complete no-go. And I mean, obviously this has just been kind of illustrated with the Candace situation, but we've seen other instances of this before with other people, people like Kanye West, Nick Fuentes, people like the Stone Choir podcast, Corey Mahler. These people really get thrown under the bus in horrific ways. Corey Mahler was excommunicated from his church. Kanye lost billions from Adidas. Nick Fuentes was going to work for the Daily Wire himself. He got kicked out as soon as he started asking questions about Jewish influence in America. And now Candace was fired from being one of the Daily Wire's top personalities. So I really do think it's interesting to see this this point of no return really kind of be pushed more and more as the years go on. And regardless of what you think of all the people I just talked about, I understand Kanye, Fuentes, and Mahler, these people, they're pretty divisive individuals. But I think them being blacklisted like this really does kind of grant them this interesting kind of need to investigate further. So, I think enough information has been brought to light by these guys that I think it's a valid point of discussion. If people are willing to blacklist so many different people, all for the same issue, all for talking about the Jewish power in America, I think that shows that there really is something important there. I think that's kind of a big topic that really needs to be discussed and is not being discussed because it's being suppressed, And I want to say, I know this has been attributed to Voltaire. It's not actually a Voltaire quote, but it goes something like, to know who rules over you, look to who you're not allowed to criticize. And I think that is becoming very apparent right now. That's becoming a very relevant little proverb there. Everyone in conservative spaces who, they can say all kinds of stuff. They can hammer on socialism. They can say smaller government, bigger government, whatever you want. But as soon as you start breaching the subject of the Jewish influence on America, then immediately, nope, you've reached a point of no return. Get out of here. You're not welcome here. You're an anti-Semite, this, that, and the other thing. It really does show a very defined line of what's allowed and what's not allowed. And when all these different groups that are supposedly, for free speech are so dead set on shutting it down immediately, I think that says something that we all need to be paying attention to. If we really want to be effective as right-leaning, conservative people, if we want to be effective in changing the country, we need to be able to talk about all of these kinds of issues. I know some people, this is a little bit of inside baseball, but I know a lot of people in the space are kind of more infiltrationists. They kind of want to go the infiltration approach of, well, we're not going to talk about that Jewish Israel stuff. We're just going to get in and we're going to kind of slowly make adjustments. And, I don't necessarily think that's a terrible strategy, but I think right now, that kind of strategy is sort of a failure to read the room. I think clearly a lot of people are starved for actually being able to talk about these topics. A lot of people are kind of sick of the BS and of these conversations being shut down despite free speech being a supposed founding tenet of a lot of these conservative organizations. So I think we're getting to a point in the conservative movement where the best and most lucrative option for us to get our message across is to talk about this sort of thing. And, regardless of what you think of people right now who talk about this, Fuentes, Mahler on Stone Choir, E. Michael Jones, now Candace. I think, regardless of what you think about how they present certain things or certain words that they say or whatever, I think a lot of their arguments and points that they're bringing up are right now, they're unignorable. They need to be answered. They need to be addressed in the public square. We need to be able to talk about this stuff. And, it says a lot. I really think that their point is being proved more and more every day. And I have some friends who are going to be upset with me, especially for not talking about Fuentes and immediately condemning him, but I don't really care to kowtow to different groups of people. I'm trying to call a spade here. he's been right, definitely, about the Jewish question in America for a long time. I think that's becoming very clear. We can now see it even more clearly with Candace. And it's just unignorable at this point. So I think we're at a real inflection point in American right-wing thought where the kind of the way forward is to really put pressure on these groups of people who absolutely hate having the light shown on them. And I know that might ruffle some feathers. I know that's probably not going to make me the most popular guy on the conservative people's radar, but at this point, as a Christian, truth is extremely important. It's one of the transcendental properties of the universe. You gotta when you see something that is true, you have to be able to point it out. And so that's what I'm trying to do here, and I'm happy to see that more and more people are also taking that approach as well. So hats off to Candace, everybody. We stand with Candace Owens, an absolute black queen. We love to see it. I'm going to put links in the description for Candace's YouTube channel. Her new old YouTube channel is what she's going to be firing back up, and that's what I presume she's going to be streaming on for the foreseeable future once she comes back. I think there's also some kind of GoFundMe or Locals page where you can donate money to Candace. I think, honestly, that if you guys could throw a couple bucks her way, I think that would be a great use of your money, way better than, a Daily Wire subscription at this point. So, and, let me know what you guys think about this format, White Boy News Network. I think, obviously, I could do a little bit of a better job at not rambling or whatever. I've got some work to do, but I do kind of like just sitting down and being able to share my thoughts in a way that's not, so much work editing and animating and stuff like that. But don't worry, a new video is in the works right now. I'm scripting it. It's on kind of a similar, it's on a tangentially related topic to this sort of, JQ stuff. So keep an eye out for that. It's probably still going to be a while. I'm still in the scripting phase just because I don't want to ruffle too many feathers and get booted off of YouTube. I've been liking the growth I've been seeing, and I would hate to throw it all in the trash can because I made some stupid joke. So I'm trying to stay on the level with that. But keep your eyes out for that, guys. Thanks for listening. Tap in the comments. Let me know what you think about all this. Let me know what you think about the new format. Do you guys want to see more of it? Whatever. So thanks a bunch for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Keep it real. I'm going to see you guys in the next one, all right?